All eyes are on Hurricane Rafael down here in the tropics. Here is a 3D look here at this storm. As we zoom on in, you'll see the cloud tops building here as this thing is getting better organized and even beginning. The reason I really like looking at this 3D satellite, get that real good vertical view. Now we can start to see the eye developing here in this storm. So it's getting better organized. It is strengthening. It is now a Category 2. We just got the latest update at 6 a.m. 100-mile-per-hour winds. Moving to the northwest at 14 miles per hour. It'll continue tracking across the western tip of Cuba into the southern Gulf here over the next couple of days through the end of the week. And you can see right through here, the forecast cone is pretty narrow, and we have a pretty good idea where it's going to go through the end of the week. But once we hit the weekend, things start to change. And what happens is the storm begins to weaken. It will weaken. It's going to run into waters that are too cool to support a tropical system. It'll also run into upper level wind shear, which will begin ripping the thing apart. Storms can ramp up quickly, as we've seen. They can also ramp down quickly, decay quickly when they run into hostile conditions. And that's what's going to begin to happen here. And once it does start to run into those hostile conditions, then it becomes much harder to forecast where it's actually going to end up going, because it's getting sort of torn apart and shredded apart. And, you know, here we are by Monday early morning, and it's barely hanging on as a tropical storm. So the bad news is it's going to be hard to forecast in the long term. The good news is it's not going to be much of a storm in the long term, okay? So, you know, the concern levels for a serious system making landfall pretty low at this point. Now, we'll get some rain out of all this for sure, but it'll be kind of off and on rain throughout the day. This is the ridge that's going to be steering it. As long as it's a hurricane, it'll push it along. But once it starts to get those tops of those clouds ripped off, this will have less of a push on the system, and that's why we see things diverging in the modeling there. I'll go ahead and show you one of the models. This is the graph model. It's a medium range model. It doesn't go out very far, 3 days. But it does show a very good, this is done very well with Milton, with Helene, with a lot of the storms this year. This one has done really well, and it's pushing it off to the west. You can see well south of us, moving off to the west there Saturday morning. Here's those water temperatures, like I said, too cool to support a tropical system once it gets about midway. Once it gets about midway in the Gulf, it'll be too cool. Even the areas where it is a little bit warmer, if it churns those up for just even a little bit, there's cooler water underneath. It will weaken the storm. Also, the wind shear, as the storm moves its way westward, it'll start running into more and more wind shear here across the Gulf of Mexico. So this thing will decay. It will begin falling apart. What we know, we'll definitely get dangerous surf here through the end of the week and on into the weekend. We've got to keep folks out of the water. The rain that we'll get will likely be beneficial, because from the rainfall amounts I'm not seeing enough to cause any major flooding problems, but we are seeing some around for the next several days, and that should help us out with our drought. Obviously, a lot of uncertainties remain, particularly with where it'll eventually end up going. It may not really matter a whole lot, honestly. If it's getting ripped apart like it looks like it's going to be, where it eventually makes landfall may not be all that big of an issue. High rip current risk, once again, that'll stay the case the next several days. Temperatures will be up around 80 degrees at our beaches. The futurecast shows some passing showers again out there today. We saw this starting to happen yesterday afternoon and last night. We'll see more of this today. It'll be scattered about. You can see a number of showers, particularly in coastal areas. So at some point today, you're likely to run into a quick light shower or sprinkle. It shouldn't be a big deal, but they'll be out there and around. So just something to keep in mind. Make sure you have some rain gear with you just in case today as we run into some of those showers. Here's what it looks like down the line. So we have some scattered showers today. We have some scattered showers tomorrow as well into Friday. Saturday and Sunday, probably a little bit higher rain chances there. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with Rafael. But like I said, it should be getting ripped apart at that point. And just a rainmaker with some light showers here and there through the weekend and probably right on through Veterans Day on Monday.